Hey y'all, thank you so much for joining. I am so excited and looking forward to this event this evening. Yeah, I feel like we can go ahead and start letting folks in and getting the show on the road.
I think we give everyone a couple more minutes as they're filtering in before we start off. Great. Okay. So we'll just give everyone like a minute or two once participants start showing up.
I'm thinking we can start at 05, right? Right on the dot. Give everybody about 5 minutes to join.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Thanks.
Perfecto.
We're going to give it
Folks,
until 5:05 for folks to start filtering in. Sorry about that.
hey everyone. Um, I think that we're at the time where we said we were going to start to kick things off. I can give a bit of an intro, but I actually want to turn it over to maybe Naya to start and Marisha just to intro this series, and then I can go into my presentation and introduce myself. But Naya, do you want to start things off and then kick it over to Risha?
Yeah, so my name is Naya Black, and I am a Gulf South organizer for the Dogwood Alliance. I want to thank every one of you that registered and showed up today to be a part of the People's Justice Council's No Dirty Deals webinar series. I'm super excited to kick off this interactive session. So again, thank you guys. And Marisha, I'll hand it off to you if you want to explain a little bit about this webinar series.
Hi, y'all. My name is Marisha Malcolm. I am the programs manager for the People's Justice Council, and this is our No Dirty Deal campaign. One of the events of our 5-part series. So, our No Dirty Deal campaign is simply we are the watchdogs of dirty deals that are passed in the Gulf South and just honestly all over the world, honestly. We do primarily focus in the Gulf South, so that's why I said the Gulf South. This series today is a civic engagement where we will go along a journey of how we vote and how things become in place in policy in our communities and how they affect us. So I will pass it back over to Naya and let her introduce the rest of the way. Thank you so much, y'all, for joining us.
All right, Mikhail, I believe you're a co-host now, so you can share your screen if you're able to for the slides.
Sweet. Thank you. Hey everyone, my name is Mikkel. I'm the campaigns director at Dogwood, so I deal with everything that has to do with protecting southern forest at the national and international level, working really closely with our incredible team, including folks like Naya and also our partners, including folks like Marisha. Um, I think just to share a little bit about what we're going to be covering, I'm sharing my screen now. Hopefully everyone can see that. Fine, right? Um, Visually, can I get like a thumbs up? Okay, sweet. So, we're going to be covering a little bit of a backgrounder on how decisions are made. When we're talking about organizing to stop the bad that's happening in our community, I think it's really important to understand how the bad even starts to exist, and then also how we can think about incorporating how the system works currently in our favor as people that are organizing to kind of think about the levers of power and how to pull on the right ones at the right times. Um, I think to start things off, not assuming that people know anything differently than just the foundational kind of blueprint, which is that the US government is broken out into three branches, right? So this is where power is kind of organized. There's the legislative part of the government, which is where laws are written. This is like the rules for uh, about pollution control. There's the executive, which is the president that carries out the laws. We have seen very much on full display how that happens in the worst of ways and also in the best of ways in different moments. And then there's the judicial, which is the courts that decides if laws are fair or followed. This is a really grainy image. I'm sorry about that, but basically one of my favorite series of all time is Schoolhouse Rock. I remember watching this when I was a kid. I think a lot of folks um, have been able to learn a lot about civic engagement and our systems through Schoolhouse Rock. If you ever want a refresher, this is probably the best way to go about it. And then these three branches of government kind of trickle down into every level of government, all the way down to like the very, very local level. This is from an organization, Rise Now, which did this graphic, and I think it's just a really great representation. So the judicial, the interpretation of the law, obviously we have the like Supreme Court, the nine justices that make the ruling over the law of the land. There's also like lower federal courts and a bunch of other different types of courts, but there's also the state level, which is the state Supreme Court, the courts of appeals, trial courts, juvenile courts. There's the local, which is like municipal courts with really specific jurisdictions. There's the legislative side, which is creating the law. Folks know about Congress. There's a Senate, there's a House. This also exists at the state level, House and Senate. Um, Sometimes they're called assembly people in places like California and New York. And then at the local level, you have city councils, school committees, school boards, those kinds of things. And then on the executive side, obviously, we have the federal president, vice president, cabinet members who are heads of different agencies like the U.S. Department of Agriculture or the Forestry Service or what have you, Health and Human Services. Then you have this reflected at the state level with governors, lieutenant governors, cabinet members, and then at the local level, mayor or city council. And I think one way to look at how this can happen, even in other examples, is that say for instance you're in school, there's a student council that makes the rules, the principal enforces them, and then there's a hall monitor who makes sure the rules are followed fairly and determines what's kind of the gray zone of those laws. The implications for our environmental movement are that these branches kind of help decide who gets clean air and water and who might be living next to a polluting factory, and also to what level are those industries regulated. And there's one thing that like I always talk about when I think about civic engagement. Um, I hate the idea that like somehow we're showing up to our elected officials and we're asking some sort of favor. Um, or that we're burdening them with our problems. The reality is that government represents you. No matter what anyone says, no matter what time we're in, government is supposed to be representative of all of us. And more, our rights and our civic responsibility have actually centered around this idea of advocating for ourselves and our communities. And while this hasn't been always true throughout history, people fought for the ability and organized for the ability to make this more and more true. And so whenever someone is like, well, I don't know how to make that possible when you go and show up in their office, always remember it's kind of their job to figure it out. You aren't supposed to do every bit of research to figure out how to get a law passed, what the law needs to say, how it conflicts or conflates with other pieces of legislation. If the government official is doing their job, they're the ones that are figuring it out along with the staff members that they work with. So never feel like you're burdening or asking for a favor. It is a government that represents you, and it's your right and your responsibility. Um, so let's think about this locally. So thinking through at the state and the local level, who runs your town? So we had the infographic that got into, you know, what are all the breakdowns in three areas of government. But thinking about this as it relates to kind of environmental organizing, at the state level, you've got the governor and state agencies that approve the big projects like pipelines. At the local level, you've got mayors, city councils. There's also really interesting kind of niche areas like zoning boards. Zoning boards decide whether an area is residential, so no types of polluting industry can go there, or they decide if it's a very industrial area, so pollution and polluting types of projects constantly get built there, no matter if something goes out of business or gets decommissioned. And zoning boards kind of decide how close these things can be to homes and schools and community centers. Um, so those are kinds of the state and local ways of operating. And if we were to simplify this process really quickly, there's a company that applies for a permit. Local and state government should hold a hearing, and then community can show up, speak out, push back, submit public comment, all of those things. And that's how this should go, right? And that should be taken into consideration with any types of government decisions. Obviously, isn't always how it happens, and there's a lot more politics and nuance, but this is very simply how it should go. So from there, do you want me to continue sharing, Naya, or should I just stop sharing so you can go?
No, you can continue sharing. Just click next. That's okay.
Okay.
Next. Okay, thanks. Awesome. So Mikhail did a really good overview of what civic engagement looks like at the state, at the federal, and at the local level. So we thought that it would be really cool to close out our PowerPoint with a real life win where a community engaged with their local government and got what they wanted. So this case study is about Gloucester, Mississippi. This is a community that I work very closely in. But just to sum it up, Drax is a UK-based company that produces wood pellets, and they make their product in Gloucester and they ship it out to the UK. They sought after a permit to increase hazardous air pollution in Gloucester. So this mattered because biomass is a large source of CO2, volatile organic compounds, particulate matter, which is really, really small particles that can aggravate lungs, and formaldehyde. So these pollutants have been linked to asthma, cancer, and other respiratory issues. And these plants hit Black, rural, and low-income communities the hardest. I included a picture. Oh, I'm sorry. I included a picture, an aerial picture of what the facility looks like from a bird's eye view. And below that picture is the community at their Capitol Day in Jackson advocating for stricter standards at the Gloucester plant. Next slide. Okay, so how did they fight back? Number one, they investigated what was going on. So residents and other organizations that work with Gloucester reviewed the permit details. They then spoke out and testified at public hearings within the community and at the Capitol and called out these environmental injustices that the plant was producing. They organized. The Gloucester community is really, really, really organized. They knocked on doors, they held local community meetings, and they built alliances across Mississippi and the South. They also made their case, a really good case. They also partnered with legal teams like Earth Justice, and the residents were able to get together and prove that the health risks were far too great to be ignored. And lastly, they got a victory. So in April, they were able to get that permit that Drax requested denied. And I included a screenshot of a news article that reflects that. So I think it's always nice to end things out with a win and a happy story. Yeah, but thank you. These are the Dogwood team that's on the call today. If you guys have any questions about organizing, Gulf South related things, or you just want to talk to us, I've included our emails below. Mikkel, Kaden, do you all have anything else y'all want to add? Cool. Okay. I'll let y'all take it away for the next part.
Yeah, I think it's I'm gonna pass it over to Teye.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Tay, do you want to open us up to include to explain the mock activity? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, so thank you very much. My name is Tay, and can I maybe just share my page so participants can easily follow up with. Yeah, can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Right. Thank you very much. So what we're seeking to do here is to yeah. So what I'm seeking to do here is to get participants to participate in this group discussion, and we want to set us up into various groups. And the scenario that was given, we want to discuss this scenario from our own perspectives based on the roles that will be assigned. First of all, in the case where we have to fight for something that is, let's say, fight against a plant being sited within our community, we want to adopt the following roles. The first will be a school board member. As we hear, we'll share ourselves into various groups, and some of us will be school board members, others will be parents of a child in a school, and some others will also be a leader at the industrial facility, and also we will have a group of us playing the role of state official for the Department of Environmental Quality. And the idea here is to enable us play this role and find out how we would argue ourselves out for the good of our community or for the industry in which we work. So for those of us who will be playing the role of school board members, the concern will be that the impact, we will be concerned with the impact of poor air quality on students' health and academic performance. And our role here is to say no, or our position is to say a hard no to whatever decision that will be taken to establish a plant within our community. So we'll firmly oppose the approval of the plant without evidence of no harm to air quality and guarantee of effective pollution control measures. So that's what we'll be seeking to do if you are a school board member. If you're a parent, the main concern will be about the child's worsening asthma and the health risks for all children within the schools. And then also your position in that role will be a strong no. You are supposed to oppose whatever view that the businessman will put before you or the proposal. And then if you're a business or an industrial leader, your concern will be the delays to the project and that which will possibly affect the economic value and the success of your venture. And so you are seeking to promote the business, and you talk about job creation, you talk about community investment, you talk about state-of-the-art pollution control technologies and measures that you'll be putting in place to ensure that the community is not at risk and the community will not be affected, and they will have resources to take care of themselves and the school. And then for those of us playing the role of a state official, our concern will be balancing the issues of economic growth with development stewardship, that you're seeking to find out how there's economic growth within the state, and how at the same time, or the district, and how at the same time you need to promote the health concerns of your people. So the aim here is to ensure that there's a compliance to the regulations of the state and federal, but also the economic concerns and the health concerns of your community will be solved. And so these are the roles that we'll be playing, and when we get into our various groups, so as to discuss them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tay. And I also want to give you space to introduce yourself, what you're doing, what research you're doing, if you want to.
Yes, so my name is Tay. Originally, I'm from Ghana. I've been here in Louisiana for the past 5 years, and my research is on, I study what we call environmental sociology, and I'm focusing on environmental justice. So my research here is studying the social responses to extreme event attribution or climate change attribution. And attribution science is that emerging science that delineates components of disasters and attributes them to the rightful causes. So we're working specifically on Hurricane Ida, and we are seeking to understand the concerns of groups and individuals within the state of Louisiana and their experiences with Hurricane Ida. So I'm far advanced at my research. I'm on the field now collecting data, and I'm grateful that I'm part of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll give it to the Zoom tech to disperse us out in the breakout rooms.
Oh.
Hi, Linda. They are in breakout rooms, so I'm going to assign you to a group really quick.
Are you on Central Time?
Yes. Hi, they are in breakout rooms, so I'm going to assign you to a room really quick.
Okay.
Hi, Sherry. They are in breakout rooms. I'm going to add you to one. Hi, everyone is in breakout rooms. I'm going to put you in one.
Right, first time doing that virtually in breakout rooms.
Great ideas. That's great.
Okay. So I guess now we'll give Aaliyah the Zoom tech some time to set up our second discussion.
Hey there, I went back to the same room and I don't think that was supposed to happen.
No, I think I had gave the option to. Let me start over.
Hey y'all, we're all in the same breakout rooms.
I just heard that. It's giving me 1 second. I'll get it together. 1 second.
Okay, my bad. Aaliyah, it looks like we lost some folks. So I think like if anybody doesn't have it like any objections, I think it might make the most sense for us to have the group discussion just in the main group.
That's fine. Some people were coming back. I had to end the group for them.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, because we made the second breakout room discussions because we anticipated more people coming, but because this is such an intimate group, I think we can use this space to have our group discussion. Does anybody object? Okay.
I'm good. I'm
No,
good.
actually.
Okay, cool. Oh, and my laptop's about to die. And while I run and get my charger, I will open the floor up to anyone that's on the call from their groups to talk about the things that they discussed, the goals that they wanted to be met, and their position regarding the facility.
So let's have the folks who are putting up the facility. Who are they, and why do you want it up? Why you want it up in our neighborhood? My kids.
Umi, did you want to kick us off with our first position? I think you articulated it really well.
Yeah, we've had some extensive time to look into where we'd like to develop and build, and we feel that the economic impact in your community is huge, and we feel that residents deserve this opportunity for more economic growth, and we know what it'll do for local businesses and the youth who are exploring, staying in your community. They now have more economic opportunities, because of this project.
And then are we supposed to give like the full batch of our positioning? Is that helpful?
Yeah, y'all can do that. I mean, it's supposed to be organic. Yeah, whatever makes the most
Oh.
sense.
Yeah, so I would say just not only the like economic opportunities, but I think as my colleague articulated, by bringing in jobs, that's more money in the pockets of the folks in this community. And even if we were to hire folks from outside of the community, that's more money that's going down in your main street that wouldn't normally have visitors, that wouldn't have that type of business. So I think it's a win-win in that way. And we'd love to hear from others about how you're going to welcome this facility because we have some other talking points.
All right, my parental board members, Arlencia and Miss Brooks. Let's hit them. Let's hit them with our great list that we came up with.
Miss Brooks, would you like to speak first or?
Oh, no, you go ahead, Orlencia.
Okay, so basically we hear and we understand all of the positive attributes that you have discussed thus far for us. However, we are pretty concerned about the adolescents and the children in the community and how it's possible that the pollutants or the air emissions that your industries will be bringing can possibly affect them. Is there a way to that you plan to contribute to the adolescents that this may affect in any form or fashion?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. I think the two main things that I'd say is one, um, this has been an industrial place that we're setting up in, and so we're not bringing anything different than what's already been in this community. And we're super excited and willing to, put forward some scholarships for the brightest youth. I think that that could be like a really beneficial way to support the community and make sure that we're coming in with as much benefit as possible.
Yeah, and we discussed also in an effort to cut down on other emissions in your community, a busing program that'll help get students to and from school, possibly after school programs. And we've discussed some other ways to combat pollution in the area through means such as transportation for employees as well as students. But if there are ideas coming from the community that they feel would benefit students regarding this plant, we'd love to hear the positives as well. We have been discussing pollution and those impacts, and technology is the future, and students need to become aware of how technology can help in their communities, and this is a great opportunity for that as well.
Another point that my group brought up is we would really appreciate from our local DEQ a public health risk assessment, just to get a feel out for, who's the most vulnerable in the community, and we want that to be considered while we want that to be considered while this permit is being considered. We'd also like a cumulative impact analysis. Just to, like Mikhail mentioned, there's other industries in our area. Will this industry exacerbate our health concerns? We also talked about how we, as a school board, because we care about our children's health and our children's academic performance, we want to make sure that y'all are doing right by them. And we're asking the DEQ to require a third-party monitoring review when it comes to emissions.
And I would like to add also, it's very good that you're offering to support the community, but people leave, people die. This facility may have a 50-year run. We would need a community benefit agreement, a legally binding agreement. Once the community members determine what their priorities are, we could work that out. And I just want to add that I was a bit disturbed when you mentioned scholarships for exceptional students. Um, there needs to be equity. Um, so we had talked about vocational education. We had talked about internships for the kids as well, but I'm sure about how many jobs. Given, is this going to be an advanced manufacturing facility? Um, all that's kind of vague. So I think that that could be worked out during the negotiations with the community benefit agreement. And I just want to make one last point. What I'm hearing is that you're considering this community to be a sacrifice zone. You had mentioned that there's other industry close by, and you want to come in and basically concentrate in this area with pollution. So, as a school board member, um, and my constituency is the entire area, I'm a bit offended.
Yeah, thank you very much for. Oh, sorry, you can come in.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. What about any parents? Any DEQ folks?
Okay, there we go. Parents, that's my group. And I will pass it on to Lexi to let them know what we've already done, what we're planning to do, and also what we aren't willing to do. So, Lexi, take it away.
Hi, I have a child in the school system with asthma, and so I'm honestly really concerned about this plan and just completely against it. We've seen the data on facilities like this in other communities, and air pollution is a health risk. It increases asthma, it increases heart attacks. I mean, this is a community that already, as y'all have pointed out, have a lot of industry that is has negative outcomes for this community, and I don't think that's an excuse to make our air worse. We've gotten with a lot of other parents in the community, and we have heard similar concerns from many families. And it's not just children, you know, we have older folks that are also struggling to breathe, and this is only going to make their health worse. You know, we do not want this facility in our community. And, you know, we do understand that there's some good jobs that can come from this, but I don't think that's the only important thing for this community. We need to make sure that our children's health, the health of the entire community are considered. And I don't think this project, you know, on the whole is going to benefit this community in the way that you propose that it will.
Yeah, thank you, Lexi, and everyone who shared. And we're certainly all ears to the community and to hear what concerns you have. I have a child also that has just joined the school system. And, you know, I try to expose my children to different environments so that they're not always in the same county or the same city, so they can get exposed to cleaner and fresher air outside of the area. But with that aside, we are thinking about doing air filtration kits for homes at the most vulnerable folks, as you mentioned, having a child with asthma or some of our elderly in the community that may have some breathing difficulties. We have put together some air filtration kits. So, you know, we are looking at the technology, and I don't want the community to overlook these efforts to protect your health and protect your wellness. You know, this is the future when it comes to solutions. And no, we're not trying to impose on the community at all. But I think jobs and income for many parents will allow them to travel, will allow them to do more for their kids. So just something to think about. And again, thank you all for your comments.
Lexi or Linda, do you have a rebuttal to that point that she gave?
I am concerned that financial gain is prioritized over children's health and well-being. And I think that is minimizing the significant impact of the health risks that would bring this plant to the community. I also think that looking and listening to the lived experiences of the parents and their impacts on their children can outweigh the long term impact of financial gain. So we need to be mindful of the health and the future impacts of unhealthy environments to children and how they become adults. And that's just important that we balance the health and safety of our children, our most important resources to financial gain. We're hopeful that you won't look at helicopter advocacy that is coming into our communities with the solution without asking people who are part of the community. There's generally people in a community who are most knowledgeable of impacts of outside sources such as plants that you're describing. So hopefully there's some balance here in prioritizing our children's health as we help them to become healthy adults.
Thank you so much.
I also
As people from the industry, it is the same reason why we want to take the opportunity to meet with you parents and also school board members and as well as the DEQ. Our point here is to listen to your grievances and also to intersect with the opportunities and the grievances so we would be able to meet you at the point of your need. But the point is this: we're not going to establish this plant in this community and leave outside this community. We're going to live within this community, and our children are going to live in this community and attend the schools within this community. That is why we are setting this plant far away from the where the schools are, that pollutions will not easily impact this the community. In addition to that, we talk about filtration and we're going to bring state of the art facilities to make sure that uh, uh, the air is cleaner, and we're going to partner parents, we're going to partner school boards and as well as government officials to make sure that uh, and other industries to make sure that we give this community the best, and also to give opportunity for um, to improve local economics, like the local economy of this place, and we believe that that will bolster our ability to take care of ourselves and also to provide some subsidy for uh, uh, healthcare and go ahead to build state of the art health facilities within this community. We are not setting up this plan within this community and then leave you alone. We're going to be members of this community and make sure that we provide the best for our community to make this place a place to work and a place to live. So that is the offer we are putting on the table, and we believe that together we can reason up and discuss the things that are needed for us to make sure that we achieve the best for ourselves.
Thank you, Tate. Does anybody from the DEQ want to speak after hearing some points from parents, school board members, and the industry themselves? Any DEQ folks?
Yeah, unfortunately, we had two DEQ folk who had to leave at the top of the hour, but if well, tonight I'll channel our own Department of Environmental Management, Alabama's so-called DEQ. And if I was wearing an ADEM hat, I would be talking all about how we are a permitting agency, and so long as this is a legal permit, we're gonna permit it, and we're proud that we have a $0 line item in our state budget. But we do have inspectors, and if they're doing anything wrong, we'll catch them and fine them. That's how we get our money.
Miss Linda, I saw that your hand was raised.
Yes, I'm with the parent group, and again, speaking from a lived experience, Cancer Alley is not just a phrase. It's Baton Rouge to New Orleans, and it applies to other areas such as this of what you're suggesting. Cancer Alley has existed for generations, and the health impacts are still going on today. And this proposed plant mirrors that, and we don't need to repeat a band-aid of a significant health area that has continued to generate money to a few that has impacted not hundreds but thousands of people's health. So parallel Cancer Alley, which exists to this day from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, to what you're suggesting, and be more realistic about the impact, the health impacts of what you're suggesting. Money is not everything.
Miss Lexi?
And I would, just suggest, it sounds like given all of the additional investments you're talking about and, investing in health centers and remediation and these kinds of things, it pretty much sounds like y'all understand the concerns that the community has and the risk this comes with. And, that tells me that you yourselves understand that this is not safe as it is, that you have to have these bargaining chips that go with it to make it palatable. And, I would just, to my community, say that the benefits that come from this facility, we can get from other cleaner industry, that we don't have to submit our community to the pollution that's going to come from this facility to get scholarships for our students, to get health industry. We can invite and incentivize manufacturing that doesn't put our community at risk. And I understand that the people that work for this business, they're willing to put their families at risk with this for this facility to live in this community. But I think this community, from what I've seen from other parents, don't have the same risk tolerance. And, so I stand by that. I don't think that we should allow this facility.
Mikhail?
Yeah, I really appreciate that sentiment. I would say though that it's not a risk recognition. It's the fact that these things don't exist in your community, and so we're willing to be a community partner by coming in with economic upside and also thinking about the things that seem like they're most needed in your community. And I would say for the comparison to Cancer Alley, like we aren't trying to bring Cancer Alley to your community, and Cancer Alley has been going on for decades. We're bringing a new industry with new technologies, with new ways of trying to minimize the types of pollutions that we're seeing in places like Cancer Alley. And we're doing it with a real attention and mindfulness to what's best for the community. And that can only happen through ongoing collaboration. And I think that the best way to do that is to ensure that we have open lines of communication and that we really consider what's going to be best for this community, seeing that none of those industries that you're talking about exist here now. There is not a lot of other options for the type of economic upside that we're talking about. And if they did exist, they would be here. So I would really urge community members to think about that, and the longevity that we can bring by bringing some really good jobs and industry to the community.
Oh, Miss Lena, that's funny. No, it's okay.
That is, I mean, I thought you said, I'm so sorry.
No, it's
I
okay.
thought, why would the school come and build it? Why would get? I just couldn't get. I'm so sorry. That's what I get for coming in late. I'm so sorry. Pardon me.
No, you're fine.
Please forgive me.
Yeah, just as for school board members, just to reiterate our wants and our goals, we would really appreciate a community benefit agreement because on our end, like I mentioned before, student health and student academic performance is of the utmost importance. We would really appreciate if the company could contribute to a tech program, a life skill program, a workforce development program for our students. I know this is an imaginary school, and we kind of didn't say if it was a high school or an elementary school. But if it's a high school, tech program, life skills, workforce development. If this school is a K through 8 space, some type of field trip sponsorships, school lunch sponsorships as well. Um, and also ensuring, I know this was a point that one of my group members brought up, ensuring what type of truck traffic is going to be coming in and out of your facilities, because we have kids crossing in and out of the streets morning to mid-afternoon. We want to ensure child safety. Anybody in my group, did I miss anything? I probably did, but do y'all want to add anything?
I would just like to add, given the fact that ADEM has a zero budget, and which really means that the agency is under-resourced when it comes to enforcement and just regulation, and also the fines are minimal. Um, I I'm wondering if you would agree to exceed the current emission standards, because the standards as they stand are still dangerous. They need to be lower. Um, so would you consider um, in this community benefit agreement that the facility would exceed, and over time, um, not just initially, but over time, keep exceeding the federal standards? Because the state doesn't have the capacity to do any real regulation.
Well, now we're certainly not going to impose anything that the state or federal government doesn't impose on the plant. But now, if y'all work that out with the facility through a CBA or other agreement, then that's between y'all.
Okay, you guys, so we're running up on 9 minutes till time. So usually at this point, a decision needs to be made. So Kyle, as from hearing both sides of folks' arguments, as the DEQ, what's your analysis of the situation? And yeah, what's the final decision?
Well, your mileage may vary with other DEQs, but this DEM is all about the permit.
Yep, that's how it goes.
Well, you know what? Before we close, I want to summarize what we all came up with. Okay. The parents are not moving. All right. We do not want this plant in our community. We've already done data collection independent. We have 30 parents with children who are suffering from worsened asthma issues. We've already reached out to the editor of the largest newspaper in the state, digital and physical. Okay. So that information is coming out. So be ready. We also have reached out to independent researchers at different universities so they can take our observations and make it into peer-reviewed research. So best believe that is coming as well. Okay, we have a few different things coming down the pipeline. We've reached out to members of you all school board. A good number of them are on our side. We're working to get the majority, but we've canvassed the neighborhoods. We've gotten testimony from several parents, and we are prepared to move towards direct action. We've already begun reaching out to representatives. We're willing to take this as far as we have to take it in order to make sure our children are safe. So thank you.
All right, Caden. All right, y'all. So let's all take off of our costumes and our role play hats. What did we think of this? What are some challenges we encountered? I know that I've only been organizing for 2 years. I still get nervous. I was a little bit nervous, even in a virtual setting. But yeah, what about everybody else? What are y'all thinking?
As I began to grow and transition out of my student role into a possible leadership role, I'm learning in spaces like this that no idea is too small. So I just want to thank everybody for this opportunity right here to even break out in groups and even role play this out, because in real time, you're nervous. It's like, do I want to ask my question? Is my question going to sound illiterate? Is my question going to sound crazy? But when everybody comes together, it all forms a beautiful puzzle, whether they're on the opposing side or on the agreeing side. And you get to hear different perspectives on things and how businesses that are trying to get these permits approach things versus how the people and the environment that it affects approaches it. So, yeah.
Miss Linda?
I appreciate the opportunity to talk to organizers. Relationship organizing is a hard concept to not just articulate, but to self actualize. And so, if you're in the space of community organizing with like the Poor People's Campaign or NACP or Power People Power, just there's so many of them that say they're using relationship organizing that I think it's really good to be in spaces with other organizers and to not just talk it out, but to think of the stakeholders and how relationship organizing can speak for the bottom up, meaning parents. So I'm glad that people are realizing that subject matter experts do not drown out the voice of a lived experience.
Miss Lexi?
I was just gonna say, listen to all of you speak. Y'all were all so good. Made me glad, especially listening to the people that were like in the opposition from the parents. I was like, oh God, I'm glad y'all are like in the real world on my side because y'all made points so well. Um, yeah, that was all I wanted to say. I guess that I'm glad to see people in this space practicing these things because it is hard and it's always uncomfortable. And I think especially in places with the like professional types and like the regulators and the politicians, like they rely on the fact that you feel intimidated, by the lingo, by the production of it is like that's part of what they rely on to keep people from speaking up. So I'm glad y'all are all here and you're all smart and wonderful. And I hope you go give your, school board members and state regulators and representatives in Congress hell because you're great and you should, and they deserve it.
Thank you. Umi?
Thanks, Lexi. That was great. Hold on. Sorry, 1 sec. There was an echo. But also, you have community members that aren't in agreement with each other. And maybe on this call, you had, Drax, and then you have everyone else who's opposed to Drax. But in some cases, there were community members who, you know, health wasn't the biggest concern. It was more about economics, more about money. So when in that case, we are sometimes having to convince one another and to sympathize with one another and understand that, hey, for this person, money is everything. They do need this opportunity. And for others, we're thinking long term and about family. So how do we as a community, respect each other's voice and even form one voice as we oppose these big industries that are harmful. But yeah, great discussion, great learning lesson. My daughter's on the call too, and she ran downstairs to tell me what she was learning. She's a little shy to chime in, but I was happy that she got to, kind of sit amongst adults and to absorb, the perspectives.
I love that. I'm an environmental educator, and I love including kids in discussions like these. So I was happy she was able to get to listen. Cool. Okay, if no one has anything else to add, would our PJC folks, do y'all want to close us out? And I also want to say before they close us out, thank you to everyone that registered and participated and stayed on after the PowerPoint by Mikkel. I really appreciate it.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I will give it to Kyle because he is our senior.
Marisha, you're a little bit staticky. Sorry.
We may have lost Marisha, but yeah, on behalf of PJC, we just want to thank y'all again very much. We want to thank our wonderful partner Dogwood for organizing this excellent activity, and thank y'all for learning alongside us. All of you who were able to join and hang in there. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Yes, Miss Paula, I totally can.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All
This
right.
We look forward to the recording.
This is a great exercise. I
Thank
commend
you,
you guys for coming up with it. Just keep working it.
Yeah.
This is indeed a great exercise.
Ooh, go Tay. He made it up. Love Tay.
And good luck, Arsenio.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Paula. It was wonderful meeting you.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I'm sure we'll come in contact. Because like I said, I'm connected with the center. So I'm sure we will. And then I want to come back to Mississippi.
Okay, well, take care, everyone.
See you. All right, bye, everyone. I don't know why I was staying on for so long. I just went, okay, bye.
Right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for the